Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Maulana Bahauddin Naqshbandi Rahmatullah alayh was asked, how is it that ignoble men or infants, as in so many stories, can be spiritualized by a glance or in some indirect way, merely by coming into contact with the great teacher? He gave the following story as a reply, saying that this method paralleled the indirect route of spiritualization. In the days of great empire of Byzantine, one of its emperor was sick with a dreadful disease which no doctor could cure. He sent ambassadors to every country with full descriptions of the illness. One of such ambassadors arrived at the school of the great Al-Ghazali, who was a Sufi whom the emperor had only heard of as one of the great sages of the East. Imam al-Ghazali asked one of his disciples, whose name was Arif, to make the journey to Constantinople. When the Arif arrived, he was taken to the court and treated with all honor, the emperor demanding him to effect a cure. Sheikh al-Arif asked what remedies had been tried and which further ones were contemplated. Then he made an examination of the patient. Finally, he asked for a full audience of all the court to be called, while he made his declaration of how the cure might be effected. When all the nobles, the councillors, the ministers of the empire had assembled, the Sufi said, "Your Imperial Majesty had better use faith." "The emperor has faith," answered a cleric, "but it does not affect or take the therapeutic effect." In that case, the Arif said, "I am compelled to say that there is only one remedy on earth which will save him, but I do not want to speak it. So dreadful a thing is it." But he was pressed, promised riches, threatened and persuaded. So he said, "A bath in the blood of several hundred children under 7 years of age will cure the emperor." When the confusion and alarm caused by these words has subsided, the councillors of the state decided that the remedy was worth trying. Some said, "It is true that nobody had any right to attempt such a barbarity at the behest of a foreigner of doubtful origins." The majority, however, considered that any risk was to be taken to preserve the life of an emperor such as this, whom they all respected and almost worshipped. They prevailed upon the monarch in spite of his reluctance, saying, "Your Imperial Majesty has no right to refuse, for this would deprive his empire of even more than the life of all his subjects, let alone a number of children." Therefore, the word was sent around that all children in Byzantine of the required age were to be sent to Constantinople within a certain period, in order to be sacrificed for the emperor's health. The mothers of these children in almost every case called down curses upon the head of their ruler for being such a monster as to demand their flesh and blood for his own well-being. Some, however, prayed instead that the emperor might be healed before the time set for the slaying of their children. The emperor himself, after a certain amount of time, began to feel that he could not allow such a deed as the slaughter of young children on any pretext whatever. The problem put him into such a state of mind that it tortured him night and day, until he gave out the order, "I would rather die myself than see the innocent die." No sooner had he said this than his sickness began to fade away, and he was soon perfectly well again. Shallow thinkers at once concluded that he had been rewarded for his good actions. Others, as shallow, attributed his improvement to the relief of the mothers of the children acting upon divine power. When the Sufi Al-Arif, the disciple of Imam al-Ghazali, was asked as to the means by which the disease had faded, he said, as he had no faith, he had to have something equal to it. This was his single-mindedness coupled with the constructive desires of the mothers who wanted a reduction of the disease before a certain time. And some among the Byzantines said, what a special dispensation of divinity it was that the emperor was healed in response to the holy prayers of the clergy before the bloodthirsty Arab's formula was tried. For was it not obvious that he was only trying to destroy the flower of our youth, which would otherwise grow up and would one day fight against his kind? When the matter was reported to Imam al-Ghazali, he said, an effect can take place only through a manner devised to operate within the time allotted to its attainment. Just as the Sufi had to adopt his method to the people with whom he found himself surrounded, so the Dervish spiritualizer can activate the inner cognitions of the infant or the adult, even in the realm of the science of the truth, by the employment of the methods known to him, given to him for this purpose.